Good afternoon. Welcome to Chicago's 14th annual salute to lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender veterans. Today's salute is under the aegis of the City of Chicago's Commission on Human Relations, Advisory Council on Veterans Affairs, and the Chicago chapter of American Veterans for Equal Rights, known as AVER. We will begin our salute with the posting of colors led by Travis. This will be followed by a rendition of the national anthem by Dean Ogren. All who are able, please stand for the posting of colors and remain standing through the end of a moment of silence. Color Guard, post colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please join me. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us have a moment of silence in memory of all American veterans who have gone before us, and especially for LGBT veterans, many of whom had to serve in silence about their personal lives. Thank you. Please be seated. I would like to thank the Commissioner of Chicago Commission on Human Relations and her staff for making the arrangements for the use of Daley Plaza for today's salute and supplying programs. Even before Mona Noriega became Commissioner of the Commission on Human Relations, she was active in the fight for human rights. She co-founded Amigas Latinas, an organization committed to the empowerment of Latina LGBT women in Chicago. I am pleased that Mona is with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Commissioner Mona Noriega.
So good afternoon. So the mayor can't be here today, so I am going to read a message from the mayor. Whereas throughout the history of America, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans of diverse yet convergent backgrounds have fearlessly defended the principle of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of these United States through their service in the United States Armed Forces side by side with their heterosexual counterparts. And whereas generally recognized as a catalyst for the modern gay civil rights movement, the Stonewall Uprising of 1969 sparked unified resistance to the widespread injustices faced by all in the greater LGBT community, leading to a resurgence of political, economic, and community activism to gain basic rights. And whereas in 1990, LGBT veterans formed a mutually beneficial organization now called American Veterans for Equal Rights, AVER, to more widely recognize the distinguished service of LGBTQ individuals for the purpose of recognizing and appreciating their distinguished military service, which led to the formation of its Chicago chapter 2 years later. And whereas celebrating its milestone 25th anniversary this year, the Chicago chapter of AVER has remained steadfast in supporting and assisting lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender veterans in the Chicagoland for over 25 years. And whereas while making history day in and day out, American Veterans for Equal Rights has also witnessed extraordinary cultural shifts with the rolling out of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Repeal Act of 2010, allowing LGBT identifying citizens to serve openly and proudly in the United States Armed Forces. And whereas in their tireless work toward a more perfect union, affirming to all the members of the Chicago chapter of AVER persist in giving of their time, resources, and expertise to improve the lives of all veterans, bringing about the dedication of monuments to LGBTQ military service in recent years, including one of the first federally approved LGBT Veterans Monument on federal land at Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery in Elwood, Illinois, and another honoring the military services of LGBT veterans on the corner of Halsted and Addison in the historic Lakeview neighborhood. Now, therefore, I, Rahm Emanuel, Mayor of the City of Chicago, do hereby proclaim June 14, 2027 to be Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Veterans of America Day in Chicago, and encourage all Chicagoans to acknowledge and salute these outstanding veterans for their brave sacrifice and unwavering dedication to our country and ongoing contributions to the City of Chicago. Signed, Rahm Emanuel.
Thank you, Mona. That was wonderful. I want everybody to see it. Not very often do you get something from a politician free. My name is Jim Darby. I am the president of the Chicago chapter. I am also the co-founder of the chapter 25 years ago. At that time we put an ad in the Windy City Times. I put an ad asking if someone would like to form a gay veterans organization. One of the reasons was I'm a member of the American Legion. Many of you are members of VFW, DAV, the whole alphabet soup. But we found out along the way that we really weren't very welcome. As a matter of fact, they were just putting up with us. And so that was a good enough reason for us to found our own organization. I would like to introduce some of the veterans on stage. Would you please rise when I call your name? Larry Simpson, U.S. Army National Guard. Gene Albright, U.S. Air Force. Emily Siefkin, U.S. Army. Navy. Travis, U.S. Navy. Heather, U.S. Army. Edward Wazilos, U.S. Air Force. Stanley Jensick, U.S. Navy. Mary Ellen, U.S. Navy. Bruce Inman, U.S. Coast Guard. Tim Zylstra, U.S. Navy. Thank you. And we are all better off because these people volunteered to serve our country. All of them had to keep their orientation private. And they served honorably, and we are so pleased that they are here today to accept this salute. In 1992, when President-elect Clinton promised that he was going to lift the ban against gay people serving in the military, he chickened out. He came up with the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. That policy over the 17-year period resulted in the throwing out of 15,000 LGBT service members. What a waste to this country. What a financial loss to this country. A few years ago, I was reading about the Arabic translators. 6 of them were thrown out because they were gay. Can you imagine how invaluable their service would be? I know, because I was a Russian translator during the Korean War. We are a veterans organization. We help veterans. We let people know who we are and what we do. We are here today to show a salute to our veterans. We march in the city of Chicago Memorial Day Parade. We march in the Gay Pride Parade. We go to Abraham Lincoln Cemetery twice a year to lay a wreath at the grave of LGBT service members. We also assist veterans in getting into VA homes. There are 4 veterans homes in Chicago. And if you know a veteran and they are at that stage of their lives, you can contact us. The closest home is in Manteno, Illinois. We also help veterans to access the VA system in Chicago. Because most of us were discriminated against in the military, most LGBT veterans just don't bother to go to the VA. Why be discriminated again? 5 years ago, Lori Luscri at Hines Hospital started a program called Operation Do Ask, Do Tell. This program is to encourage LGBT veterans to use the VA. And you know, it's a double-edged sword. If we use the VA, then we get the services. If we go there, for every veteran that shows up, the VA gets more money. So tell your veteran friends, use the VA. Tell your veteran friends at the end of the line that if they would like to be buried free, no cost, at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, to contact us, and we will help you find your way. At this time, I would like to introduce Jean Albright.
We welcome as our guest speaker Emily Siefken, an Interior Communications Electrician, Petty Officer, First Class, a tenured veteran of 2 wars in the Middle East, where she was a CCTV documentary filmmaker working with explosives ordnance teams in Kuwait, Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, Yemen, and Dubai. She has also served as a drill sergeant for 6 male-female integrated divisions. Following her military service, she embarked on a distinguished civilian career, including the position of Regional Program Manager for Illinois-Indiana Troops to Teachers program, and has been the creator of theater works on the lives of military women. She holds a Master of Fine Arts in Art and Technology and Interactive Multimedia from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and has had solo shows at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago and Sarah Lawrence College in New York. Please welcome Emily Siefken.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am curious how many people in attendance know that this part of Illinois, along with Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa, is known as the driftless region. In Paleozoic times, this was an area flattened and carved by receding glaciers. It is very fruitful. It's a fruitful area with rich soil and mineral deposits. Over the centuries, this area has sustained Native American populations and has served early settlers and later Americans with seemingly unlimited food and metals. This region is an enormous economic driver for our great nation. It is here, among the John Deere plant, auto and chemical industries and farms, that I was born and raised. My name is Emily Siefken. I was born to 2 farming families in Iowa in the mid-70s. I grew up in a very small rural town called Parkersburg. I was a tomboy who much preferred fixing the skid steer and making go-karts out of lawnmowers than to play with dolls. As an only grandchild on both sides of the family, I was expected to help with chores, and I gladly followed my Grandpa Bud around in order to help him with anything that he asked. My grandpa was a hero to me. In these small religious towns, men like my grandfather are revered. They are almost holy models of sacrifice, about as close to bleeding on the cross as any human would likely get. Women, historically, do not fit this model. During my high school years in St. Louis, Missouri, it was intimated that I might not be a great candidate for college, but I scored off the charts mechanically and was assessed as a good prospect for the military. At age 17, I joined the U.S. Navy as an interior communications electrician, where I excelled, advancing meritoriously to E5 in a few short years and then E6. I loved the camaraderie in the military and especially bonded with service members who had an economically disadvantaged history. Sometimes these men and women grew up on farms like I did, sometimes urban. Many were foreign nationals. Each of us recognized our worth to each other, and we worked together and shared resources in order to be successful, to survive. We took advantage of the many opportunities that were available to us, and there were many opportunities. As is often the case, only another service member can truly relate to the experience of risk, sacrifice, and war in this culture. Even my grandfather opened up to me. As someone who did not talk about his life in the Army, Vern Badass Bud confided in me about his time commanding an infantry unit during the height of the Korean War, stepping in for officers who had been killed in a particularly bloody offensive. He recounted trenches 20 feet deep and 10 feet wide, completely filled with bodies that were either dead or lay dying. Through this horror, my grandfather advanced, and the memory of his brother's cry haunted him. My experience was decidedly different from whites of the eyes combat. although I did have at least one experience where I had to defend myself at close range. I trained as a CCTV, closed circuit television, and satellite communications repairman, and curiously, this afforded me the opportunity to work with special forces teams, explosive ordnance disposal teams in the late 90s. I am thrilled to say that I worked with one of the first female commanders of an EOD team. This woman routinely did 50 pull-ups and could lift or run faster than most of the men and certainly the women on her team. My path was incredible, and I do have many stories. However, out of respect for the time allotted me, I'll keep to the main focus of my speech today regarding the love that service members have for one another and the example we both set as active duty service members and veterans. My final tour of duty involved pushing 6 integrated recruit divisions, integrated meaning male and female. I am extremely proud of the young men and women I had the opportunity to shape, and they occasionally write or visit me or friend me on Facebook and let me know how they are doing in life. In 2003, I had to leave my beloved military due to the don't ask, don't tell policy. The circumstances around my departure are fairly harrowing and sad, but as referenced in my theme, I prefer to look on the bright side whenever possible. Camaraderie and love are the bright side of which I speak. I fell in love more than a few times. I went to Lake Forest College and the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. I created my very first solo art show entitled Here Not There at the Museum of Contemporary Art. This was a tribute honoring fallen female service members and took place on the 4th of July in 2007. Thus began my foray into veterans art therapy programs as led by Suellen Semikoski at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago. Later, I consulted with Rivendell Theater Ensemble's Women at War production led by Tara Malin. I was finally able to feel a broader range of emotion after I got out. I even cried for the first time in 8 years. The most valuable part of these experiences was my ability to connect and trust again. Currently, I am embarking on a years-long collaborative project with 30 other female veterans and active duty servicewomen. One of my shipmates, Kathy, is, as we speak right now, documenting the recollections of her mother, a U.S. Navy wave. Her mother suffers from dementia but remembers everything about her time in the military, and she's recording it, and we're going to have a show at some point. And Mary Ellen's with me, and a whole bunch of other female veterans, so I'm thrilled. I found my people, my fellow veterans floating adrift. We connect over a common goal to help each other navigate civilian life, arguably much more difficult and solitary than the one that we thrived in. Only 1/2% of the entire population of U.S. citizens have given up their youth and economic potential to serve this nation, toiling day in and day out to protect us all. On more than one occasion, I have witnessed civilians remark on the loyalty and love between military service members, wishing that they have what we have. What is it that we have? We have honor, courage, and commitment. We have our honor memorialized in places like the National Veterans Art Museum right here in Chicago. Go see it. It's in the Six Corners neighborhood here in Chicago. We have our courage and commitment displayed through public service and the betterment of our democracy through our monthly meetings with American Veterans for Equal Rights and the Department of Veterans Affairs and social service organizations. Historically, as a nation, we have few examples of camaraderie spanning race, class, religion, sexual orientation. This is where veterans, public servants, and those interested in the well-being of someone other than themselves can truly make a mark. Such impact may be through very visible action or powerful even in its subtlety and may go completely unnoticed. I believe in the concept of what it means to be a hero. I believe the concept of what it means to be a hero has fundamentally changed. This may have occurred when Captain Kristen Griest and First Lieutenant Shay Haver became Army Rangers. It may have happened when Chief Warrant Officer Charlie Morgan, after a long battle with cancer, contributed to the overturning of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and eventually the Defense of Marriage Act, although posthumously, by advocating for Social Security, pensions, and other protections for her wife and young daughter. Whatever the case, LGBT advocacy and legal communities have effected appreciable change in a decidedly short period of time. We now have an incredible opportunity to act on behalf of those who need us most. Who would have thought that our LGBTQ community would be the shining city on the hill, often referenced by Reagan, or that our collaborative prism would cast a gloriously colorful path for this driftless nation to follow. Now more than ever, we need to display our solidarity and be the heroes for our shared community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emily, Commissioner Noriega, and the rest of our guests here. First of all, I would like to admirably, no pun intended, thank you all present here today that have served or that continue to come to all our functions. American Veterans for Equal Rights Chicago chapter, this is our 25th anniversary, continues to do more milestones. If you don't know, in 2015 we had the first LGBTQ monument at a federal cemetery, Abraham Lincoln Cemetery in Elwood. And this past Memorial Day, on the corner of Addison and Halsted, we dedicated the first LGBTQ monument to veterans right here in the city of Chicago. I'd also like to take a moment to remember all persons that have served or are serving this great land of ours right now. I would also like to remember the tragedy today in Arlington for Congresswoman Solis, the two Washington Capitol Guards, and all those. People continue to serve this great land of ours, and it is a privilege to do that. But we must never forget, and may our voices always be heard loud and clear. We're there always, and you are not forgotten. At this time, I would like to bring and introduce Travis, who is a United States Navy veteran and a member of American Veterans for Equal Rights, and he will sing America the Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God save thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, from sea to shining, shining sea. Okay, I'm done now.
Thank you. At this time, everybody is welcome and cordially invited after the posting of colors to watch the wreath laying ceremony. So please follow the color guard and the wreath. And then Susan Jones and Melissa Terrell from the Lakeside Pride Marching Band will play echo taps. So color guard, retrieve colors.